Hey guys, I'm Becky and welcome to another reading vlog. Happy New Year! It is Wednesday, January 1st of 2025. Wild. I was pretty excited for the new year. I love a fresh start. I love, everything that comes new year. But then I also remembered the inauguration and I'm just feeling away, But we're gonna try to pop that out of our heads and have a fun little vlog. There are some exciting things happening in this vlog. It is my first reads of 2025 vlog, which I always look forward to. I love starting out a year with a new read. I always put a lot of pressure on the first book I read of the year because I want it to be a 5-star book because I feel like that just sets the tone for the rest of the year. If I can find a 5-star read, it'll be great. So we're gonna find out together. So I have already started a book. I started it last night after midnight. And honestly, it's good. I'm not that far into it. I think I'm like halfway through chapter 2, but there's good potential here. Good potential. And that book is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Yes, I'm finally reading this book. This book has been so hyped up. Not as much as like Fourth Wing, but pretty darn close. It has always been marketed to me as like, if you love ACOTAR, you should read this book. And I'm finally ready. Now, this book, instead of the Fae, is following vampires and a human girl. So far, like, kind of like ACOTAR. It's definitely not starting the same way. It doesn't have the same backstory necessarily, but it is a girl. I mean, Feyre has a family, but the main character in this one, who I cannot remember her name at the moment, she loses her entire family and is found, well, as far as we know, and is found as an orphan at like under 10 because the vampire who finds her has no idea how old she is. And she is found in a house that has collapsed. There's nobody else around, so they're assuming that her family's dead. Kind of similar of like young innocent human being brought into this different fold, if you will, because like vampires are in this realm, like humans and vampires do interact. The vampires are in charge. Humans are treated that well, as you can imagine. But yeah, for some reason, I don't think he is a king. I think he's like a lord. I think he's the vampire king. Maybe he is. Didn't kind of seem like it. But whatever he is, he's a big deal in his neck of the woods. And he, for some reason, like feels this, I want to say, the word that's coming to mind is attraction, but it's not in a sexual means. Like, he's very much a parent to her, but for some reason, like, the kinship. He feels this kinship with this human child, and instead of letting her die, he decides to adopt her. Now, I don't know what it is, and I really maybe should explore that this year, starting with this book. That could be interesting. I am somebody, obviously, well, if you've been here for a while, it's obvious, but if you're not, I've always been a huge reader as a kid, but then, like, it was either, like, you read kid books or you read adult. Like, teen and YA was just starting to become a thing when I got back into reading. So for, like, a big stretch, there wasn't any reading going on. Like, absolutely loved it as a kid, and then there was just nothing, because there was, like, nothing for my age range. And then I got into the, like, TTYL, TTFN, those books. I got into those and, was like trying to find books that I would gravitate towards. And then Twilight happened. And then my world expanded. Reading became the big new whole thing, and I've never looked back. So obviously I got my starts from paranormal, specifically paranormal romance. And while vampires were like all I wanted to read during that period of Twilight, as I'm sure many of you are the same, since then, haven't been into it. Because I want vampire romance, and a lot of these books lately, while they might have a romance plot, or subplot, if you will, a lot of them are being marketed as like dark, evil vampires, and maybe there'll be some romance. Or it's an adventure. And for some reason, those are just not appealing to me at all. So here I am. I'm starting it. I'm 24 pages in. And it's actually very interesting. It has a really good start. So we have a prequel, which is her vampire dad finding her. And then you find out like this kinship, and he's drawn to her for some reason. So you're like, oh, okay, there's going to be some like prophecy, something special about her. She's not a regular human. She's a cool human. We get those kind of vibes. And then it immediately jumps in to Like, you're just dropped into the story with chapter 1 because you're following her as she stalks a vampire who's about to attack a human child. And like, within the kingdom, humans are supposed to be safe, but it's not necessarily true. If it's at night, like, all bets are off. Like, if you're out during the night when they're hunting, like, it's your fault. So she kind of like patrols the city, it seems like. And then there's some competition that happens that her father wants her to be a part of, because if she wins it, I think that basically is like a lifetime immunity of being a target. Whereas if she loses, I think she might die. I don't know. But we haven't really gotten into the, like, we've seen her being trained, and it's very much like showing instead of telling, which I enjoy. Like, I'm just kind of like slowly getting involved in this world, and it's written really well. Like, I really like the writing style, so I'm very excited and hopeful for the future of this book. But we have seen her being like trained to fight. She obviously knows how to do things really well. Her dad made sure that she does know how to protect herself, because she is a human in a vampire world, and not only just like a human in their world, but a human in like the elite world where humans mean nothing, is what I'm gathering. I'm excited. I'm very interested to see like what all these like games have in store, and obviously there's like 3 books in the series, so it must be pretty good if people are still talking about it, still recommending it, and it getting hype. So I'm excited. I'm ready. Now, those 24 pages I read before I went to bed, and it is now like 8 o'clock at night, and I haven't done any reading. Instead, I have been relaxing. I've been snacking. I have been watching Jordaline on YouTube because some of my favorites love her, and I was like, I should check her out. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, I can vibe with this. But now I'm ready. I'm ready to do some reading. I'm ready to talk to you finally. And then the thing that I'm most excited about is that I got some Amazon gift cards for Christmas, and I have spent them. The number one thing that I'm so excited about and that I have purchased is coming tomorrow, and that is a brand new desk. I'm so excited. So I'm gonna do some reading, and then I will update you guys either tomorrow for my desk or once I have reached 50% of this book. Hello, happy Thursday. Today is the day. My desk has just arrived. So now I need to get my office all prepped and clean, and I'm so excited. So I will be having some before and after footage, which I need to take before footage really quick before I get this prepped. Also, I did read just a little bit. I really need to like actually read this book, but I read a little bit more last night, and I think I'm on chapter 6, I want to say. The competition has begun, and her father is a king, but he's not the king. So there's 3 kingdoms. I don't know if it's called the court, but there's, I think it's of night, of shadow, and of blood. And he's the king of night. And then I think it's pronounced Nyaxia is like the goddess that oversees all of them. I can't tell yet if she is a actual living person or if she is just a spiritual figurehead. I think she's just like, I think she is technically a spirit, but also maybe real. Can't tell. But I'm really liking it so far. We just survived like our first, it wasn't technically a trial, so there's 5, it goes for 3 months I think, and there's 5 trials, and there's basically a prequel trial, which is like you being admitted into the trials, and you basically have to survive that night, and then if you do, then you're officially in the trials. So our main character, who I've forgot her name again, is it Araya, I think? She has survived the first night. I won't tell you what happens, but something horrible happens, which I knew it was going to happen. I didn't expect it to be that quick, though. Because, like, as soon as the book starts, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's going to happen. And it did. It was horrible. But I'm very intrigued. I feel like because she has been so protected by her father, like, she has no friends. It's just her and him, which makes sense because it's vampires. They could kill her. But she has no friends. She's never gotten to know any other vampires. He doesn't allow her at the parties. When she is out, she's with him. So she really hasn't learned anybody. And now she's surrounded by all these vampires who are like her age. They're really not. But, you know, some of them are hundreds of years old, but still kind of her age. If you win, you get to ask the goddess for a favor. And so a lot of people use it for like power, greed, wealth, that kind of thing. She is planning on asking if she can be her father's, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I think it's like a corridor. Not sure. Basically, it's a special bond between two vampires that only the goddess can grant, and she grants it very infrequently, and it's where you share power, share a lifeline. Like, she will become immortal without becoming a vampire, because a lot of people don't survive becoming vampires, apparently. Like, you can be born into a vampire or you can be made into one, but it's unlikely that you will survive the turning. She will have her father's power, which he's one of the most powerful vampires in existence, and like be protected. At least so far. I feel like we're gonna have like some twist where she does win, but she's gonna like give her favor to something else or to somebody else. I don't know. But it is really good. I'm very interested, and we just like are kind of getting to know some of the vampires, not really in a friendly way because they're competing against each other, but they're like at this breakfast, if you will. And I can see two people becoming allies. I know for sure one of them from the description is going to become her ally, but there's also this other girl. So I'm excited. I really like the writing style. I like the book so far. I'm excited that I finally started it because I am enjoying it. Like, it does seem like something that I would enjoy, and I'm glad I finally tried it. But yes, we have to make some like actual headway because I'm still only like 66 pages in. I am going to take some before footage, clean my office, and I'll see you in a bit. It is so many hours later. Everything is set up and it looks so fantastic. I'm so excited about this desk and I can't wait to show you guys. So I am going to show you guys a before and then the after, and I hope that you love it as much as I do. So that is my brand new desk. I think this desk is perfect. It is much smaller than my old desk in terms of the width, especially of this side of the desk, and the length. I think on the side closest to the window. So I was able, over in the corner you would have saw the chest of drawers that look like books. That was under my old desk. Now it is off to the side. But everything just feels like it has a place. I was able to go through a bunch of stuff, get rid of stuff, reorganize. It was very much needed, and it just feels so good and like thoughtful, and I just love it. It is also extremely sturdy. The other one like wobbled a lot, and I'm honestly surprised it didn't break at any point. But this one feels so solid. I absolutely love it. It has like charging ports on the desk, and it's just perfect. I cannot wait to like work here and edit my upcoming vlog that I actually do need to work on today and tomorrow. But yeah, I think I'm going to just spend the rest of the night relaxing. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, party people. It is Friday. It is technically almost 2 o'clock, but I've recently woken up and kind of like in the middle of a dream, so I'm feeling very like loopy. But we're here because my Amazon packages have arrived, so I wanted to share those with you. We're gonna ignore this. We're gonna ignore everything here, even though it's the only thing on your screen. So first up, I did get my new phone case. So now it looks like this. Super cute, this very pretty lilac color. And it does have this cool like pop socket ring that turns. Next I got the, well, one of the nightstand organizer solutions for my desk, and that is this one. Look at how nice this is in person. This is the color, I think, vintage, and it's like this, what I assume is faux leather, kind of like embossed. You can hear the texture. It is such good quality, and it spins. I'm excited. The only thing though is it shows like an iPad in there, and very obviously it must have been like an iPad mini, because my Kindle is just like, for a second there I was like, oh, maybe, oh, well, if I force it. Otherwise I know for sure my regular Kindle will fit. Oh god, no, this is stuck. Come on, man. I know my regular Kindle will fit, and definitely all of my other things that go in the pockets. So that should be fine. Last but not least is my Kindle Scribe. Ooh, let's change it to what I actually am currently reading. There we go. Here is my Kindle Scribe in its new case, which is clear. Yes. Because I want to be able to put stickers and stuff on it. So I figure we'll do that together really quick. I'll go set up my new nightstand solution and maybe edit or something at my new desk. I'm excited. Alright, I did make some minor tweaks after I showed you. So here it is now. Really the only minor tweaks is I kind of turned this so you could read all of the text. I think that's, yeah, it's like the only thing. How cute! I love it. Hello, Pepe. I do also have this Bear pop socket that I would really like to use, but it's not a real pop socket. I got it from Five Below, and it was one that was like this. And this resting in your hands does not feel good. I don't know who on earth would like this. So I broke that off, and I'm trying to break off this white piece. Because if I can break off another pop socket, then I could combine two forces together. And that's what I want. So I'm going to attempt to do that. I'm going to set up my little nightstand thing, play on my computer, etc. So I'll see you later. Okay guys, last update that's not reading related. I did figure it out. And now I have an awesome pop socket. He's so cute. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I love it. Hello. Don't mind the missing glass. I was in bed and realized I haven't updated in a long time. So it's Wednesday night. I have meant to update you, but I also didn't have a whole lot different to say about the book. So I just decided to wait till I finished it. So The Serpent and the Wings of Night is done. My first book of the year finally done. I don't know why it's taken 8 days to read this book, but at the same time, it wasn't in a bad way. It took me an entire week to read it, but it wasn't because it was slow or dragging or that I wasn't enjoying myself. It honestly just felt like I needed to just take my time with this book. Like I felt like I just really needed to like absorb everything. I didn't find myself like speed reading at all. Like I was just kind of here for it, enjoying the time, enjoying the space, enjoying the scenery, you know? It was really good. I am so pleasantly surprised by this book, and I know that part of me says you shouldn't be, because it makes sense that this book would be recommended for you, but at the same time, the whole, you know, she's a human in a vampire world, it just didn't appeal to me for some reason. But I'm so glad I decided to just give it a chance and try it anyways, because it was really, really good. I will say I didn't love, as somebody with anxiety, and that could also be why I was reading it so slowly, now that I think about it. As somebody with anxiety, books that, or shows, or anything that kind of like induce anxiety triggers me. It kind of like ramps mine up. And the fact that Araya is constantly anxious because she's constantly terrified of being attacked, constantly aware of how fragile she is as a human and stuff like that, I guess I didn't realize that that could have been affecting me. And my anxiety has been a little kind of, you know, up and down lately, but I figured that's just because I was PMSing. But it could also be this book, and it could also explain why I have felt this like natural need to kind of take this slow or to take it in small chunks, because it could have been like me unconsciously trying to like protect myself, basically, of like, this is very anxiety inducing, so let's kind of just like pump the brakes with it. Because I will say the last like 2 days I have really like picked up the pace with it, because I feel like the last 50%, like the first 50% is interesting and you're getting to know all this stuff, but for it being like a trial and kind of like Hunger Games-esque, where it's like a fight to the death, you would think it would be very, very action-packed. And while it is, it's action-packed, it's gruesome, people die, people are injured. Like, I was tearing up. I was crying during this book. While it has all that, it didn't feel like breakneck pace or super fast. It really took its time as well. But during the second half, it felt like I was a lot more invested because I really cared about these characters. I wanted to see how their different relationships were going to grow, and I really liked how everything went. I was pretty surprised by the ending. I didn't see it coming, and I don't know if that was just me not catching on to something or what. Like, I knew that there were things being kept from us, but that wasn't even a possibility in my head. Like, any of the things that we find out. So, yeah, I was pretty shocked. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm excited to go on with the series. What I'm not excited about is that the author's note was like, there's 6 more books to come. So there's going to be 7 total, unless I read it wrong, and it's 6 total, but either way, that's a lot. What did I sign up for? But I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be very, very interesting, especially if the entire thing follows the same characters, because I personally enjoy it more. I love multi-POV, which this book is not. So if we are in a book series, like a longer series like this, I'm fine with a POV, a multi-POV, and I feel like I like it more when we follow the same characters. It's fine when we like introduce more characters, but I still want like that core, like Throne of Glass, I think is a perfect scenario where like we do have multi-POV, we do have all these characters, but we're following those same people. We're like slowly adding more people, but we're following those same people the entire series. I don't love it when it's like A Court of Thorns and Roses or Crescent City, where it's like this chunk follows these people, this chunk follows different people. You'll probably see those other people in the background, but like that they're not the main focus. Not as big of a fan. Like, I still enjoy it and I still like it, but it's not my preferred method, I would say. So if this sticks with the same characters, which it seems like it's going to, because we also don't have multi-POV here, we're in Araya's head the entire time, I'm here for it. I'm excited. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So what did I rate it? 5 out of 5 stars. I liked it a lot. And my first book is done. Now, something else that I have decided today, actually, I had on Monday my book club holiday party, which such a great night, so much fun, was surrounded by amazing people. Everyone brought something to eat and I ate everything and everything was delicious. I'm so here for that. Just like the best party ever. While we were there though, one of my members has gotten into crochet. I think she was taught when she was young but forgot, and then she came to a class I did at the library, which was hit and miss. It was it was kind of a fail because I've seen so much stuff like Woobles that's like amigurumi is for beginners. And it's not. It really isn't. Like, I have met people now who have tried Woobles as a beginner and don't pick it up. I did this class of teaching people how to crochet a ghost. Some people got it, some people did not at all. One of the people who attended that was one of my book club members, April. Her and her husband actually came for like their anniversary. That was so funny. And they both did really good, honestly. And her husband had like never picked up crochet and he was doing really good. But after she kind of failed the class, she went home and like in-depth watched YouTube videos and she figured it out herself and has been doing some really cool stuff. And so she on Monday was showing me that she decided to do the whole granny square for every book you read. And I was like, oh, I've been thinking about doing that. And then tonight at Silent Book Club, one of my members from that book club, because I do run 2 book clubs now at the library, one of my members from that book club also started the granny square blanket. And I was like, you know what? I'm also going to start it. Because it's 2 people who are like beginners into crochet, have never made a granny square, and made beautiful, perfect granny squares. And me, who I feel is like intermediate to expert, you know, I'm good. I'm honestly good. I know my worth. I do good work. And I've never made a granny square. And my goal in 2024, which I didn't really stick to, it was like a soft goal, was to try to crochet more things for myself, because I make so much for other people because I love making things for other people, because the people I surround myself kind of like I want to say respect. But I mean, they do. They respect my hard work. They understand my hard work and appreciate it. So like, it's fun making stuff and giving it to people because you're like, holy crap, you made this. Like, that just means so much to people. But I really want 2025 to be the year where not only am I making stuff for other people because I love it, but making stuff for myself. So I think I'm going to start with this. And so I'm deciding if I want to stray away from like the traditional granny square that people use, maybe use something a little bit more complicated. I don't know why I have to complicate things, but I do. So I don't know if I want to use a more complicated granny square but still have it match the covers. Do I want to have either the colors or the granny square match genre or page length instead? Like, do I want to have it where it's like this type of granny square is this genre, or this type of granny square is this many pages, but then the colors match the cover, or they're all the same color, but it's different granny squares. But it's like however many granny squares I make, that's, you know, how many books I read that year, and it just creates one big old blanket. My goal is to read 100, so I also need to also map out like what would that look like. So there's so many things to figure out. So here's to hoping that the next time I update you guys, I have either started something or I'm telling you what I finished tonight, even though I'm very tired. And we'll have figured out what I'm doing with this books I read in 2025 blanket. So hopefully I'll come to you with progress and answers. All right. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Later? I don't know. Hello. You can tell how greasy my hair is. Pretend you don't. I ran out of dry shampoo today. So it's Thursday and I'm about to go to bed, but I wanted to update you because I did finish another book today. I know. Who am I? Today I read Rebound by Veronica Eden. This is a Heston U Hot Shots novella. I don't think it's a prequel novella. I think it's just like a random novella in between books 1 and 2. And it was like 64 pages. I didn't read the description before going into it, and I feel like that probably would have helped. It just felt like, overall, it was pretty good. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. But it also just kind of felt kind of just like thrown at us, like just like splatted on the wall, you know? Because it didn't have a whole lot of substance. I mean, it's only 64 pages, but it didn't have a whole lot of substance. It didn't seem like it took the series anywhere or explained anything really to us that we would have needed to continue on or to understand more about the series. It was just kind of there. And it's kind of a second chance romance. So we have our main character, who I've completely forgotten his name, but our hockey player, we have him, and he is the goalie, and he lost like a couple games back to back, so he's feeling really down on himself, gets blackout drunk, hooks up with this girl. They have like a true serious connection, but because he blacks out, the next morning when he wakes up, he just kind of like leaves her, not realizing or remembering like how big of a connection they had. And then it like fast forwards 6 months, and well, I mean, we start 6 months and then rewind to find that out. Fast forward 6 months, he sees this girl, and for some reason he's just extremely drawn to her. Turns out that that's the girl, and she slaps him because obviously she thought they had this amazing connection, and then he just never talked to her again. So it's him kind of like re-remembering that night, getting to know her, and kind of like them falling in love, if you will. They definitely felt like there was an attraction. I don't know if they're meant to be necessarily. Again, it's just a 64-page little novella, but I could definitely see the attraction. The sex scene, there's one sex scene in this book, which makes complete sense, but it is like borderline comes out of nowhere. Like there's definitely tension throughout the book, and then we get to the sex scene, and it's not so much out of nowhere, but the level of spice comes out of nowhere. Like it's not like he's been talking dirty the entire time to kind of like, you know, simmer us up. Like we go from 0 to 1,000 like that. Like I was like, oh my god. Like it was pretty wild. And I feel like maybe it wouldn't be that shocking if like you're reading, because I think there's like 1 or 2 other novellas that prequels book 1, and then there's book 1 and this one, and then eventually she's supposed to be writing all these like full-length books. Maybe if you were reading them all like back to back, it wouldn't be as shocking because like the series is pretty dirty, but it just like, it really threw me because again, like there was no simmering or getting us ready for the level of spice. Whoa. But overall it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I have made some decisions on my book blanket, so I am doing it. Probably nuts, but I am doing it. I have decided to go with, let me find the picture of the granny square I'm making. I will be making these granny squares. As you can see, it's a skull with a flower, and my plan is to make the skull, the background behind the skull, the flower, and then that background all match the covers of the books. So that is my plan. I have like mapped out what I think the first 2 squares should look like based on the 2 books that I have read, but that's the plan. But alright, my camera's gonna die, so I will see you once I start something. Hello guys, happy Saturday. Today I finally filmed my top 10 books of 2024, so I'm currently editing that. I'm waiting for it to like finish and everything. I think once I get done with this, I'm going to start my first granny square, but I think I'm gonna wait to finish it until I get a physical copy of the book for The Serpent and the Wings of Night, because there's conflicting information on the internet. One image shows that there is some green on the cover and another one shows that there is not. So I'm going to see what the cover looks like that I'm getting from the library so that I can take a picture, because I think this is how I'm going to be like active on Instagram. Like I post on my stories all the time of like my TBRs, my Instagram story templates that people can use, my wrap-ups, things like that, and I'm trying, and I also like share, you know, like funny Halloween-y, spooky things all the time. And I'm trying to get better about sharing currently reading. I'm working on it. But I have not posted to my feed in a long time. So I think that I'm going to like use this as a way to be active by posting photos of like the books that I'm reading, maybe like a rating and short review, and then the square that I made for it. So I'm gonna wait. I think what I want like the skull middle piece color to be, and I think it's the same on both versions that I've mocked up on Canva. So I think I'm going to make that tonight, and then I'll wait on the rest to see if there's green or not on the cover that I get. Because if there's not, then I don't want to do the one with green on it because it's not going to look right in the photo, I feel. The book that I am reading, I started yesterday. I'm currently on page 29, and that is my book club book. Oh, sorry. I should probably just turn these off. I forgot to mention, I'm probably purple because I have my desk lights on. Oh, and you could probably hear my heater going the whole time. Let me turn that off. Sorry. This is a mess. Okay, so I am reading A Crown of Ivy and Glass by Claire Legrand. She's chunky. She's very, very chunky. It is 550 pages. Sorry, book club. Obviously, this is not where I am. So, this is my book club pick. I have read a Claire Legrand before, and I know that like she creates these like very fantastical worlds. So it usually takes a minute to kind of get into her books. I say it usually when I've literally only read 1.5 books of hers before this, or maybe 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 books of hers before this, and the 2.5 were part of a series. But I do remember that in book 1 of the other series, the YA series that I read by her, it took a minute to like get into, and I'm fine with like a slow beginning, especially when it comes to fantasy, because there's so much to learn. Like there's magic systems and everything to figure out. So I'm fine with it being a slow beginning, but our main character is so annoying right now. Like I really don't like her, and I did talk to a couple book club members who had already started it, and they said like the only thing I hate about this book is the main character, but you're supposed to not like her. So I'm like, okay. Because I know yesterday when I read the first chapter, I was like, I know I'm supposed to hate her, but it doesn't feel like I'm supposed to hate her. Like, on one hand it does, but also it's just like, is it too much? So I'm definitely more interested, and have just had a scene where I felt bad for her in chapter 2. So I'm excited for like the plot to actually get going, because I feel like I'm gonna end up liking it. We just have to get there. Just want to check in, say I started a book, and yeah. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna edit and eat. See ya. Guys, it is Friday, January 17th, I think. Where has the time gone? Where has it gone? What have I gotten done? I have been reading every single day this month so far, and I hardly have anything to show for it. I mean, I did pick some pretty chunky books. It makes sense. But I wanted to read so much more with you guys in this vlog, and it's just not happening. And I could extend it to like go through the weekend, since Monday is when I'll be starting my next video, but enough is enough. I feel like this vlog is going to be so long, and I'm trying not to make god-awful long vlogs all the time. Like, knock it off. Who am I? I don't even have the following for long vlogs yet. Jeez. But okay, let's talk about this book because I do plan on finishing it before we end this. Okay, so here is where I currently am. I just have that little sliver left. I think it's like 60 pages left. And I've been listening to the audio, even though I don't love the narrator. She has this like breathy voice, which is all right and I can deal with for Gemma. But when it comes to, what is his name? God, is it Taran? Is that what his name is? Talon. When it comes to Talon, I feel like she makes him come off like more simpy than he really should. Like, he's a mysterious character. He shouldn't come off like, Gemma, ba ba ba. You know, like, and that's how she's kind of like portraying him. So I don't love it, but that is the way I'm listening to it because I'm not loving this book. I'm not positive what this book is. Like, the first 25% was fine. It was all right. I mean, the pace is glacial in the first 50%, just so you know. And then by the time we get to the 50%, it's almost like we are on a completely different plot. There's going to be mild spoilers. I'm not going to say anything outright, but there is like mild spoilers when it comes to, I guess, like pacing and slight plot things, but not specific. So if you'd like to skip, just skip over. But like what happens in the first 25% of this book is fine and dandy. Like, okay, like this is going to be an outrageously long book for this plot. But then like the whole point is that Gemma and Talon are working together towards something, and then there is a huge falling out. There is a mistrust that forms between them. So then she ends up like doing the thing that was going to be so hard on her own. And I was like, I thought this was supposed to be like a whole 550 page task. Apparently not. And then the plot completely shifts to something else. And I'm like, well, who are these people? And then it's a completely different plot. So I'm like, then why were we focused on that for the first 25% of the book if this is the route we're taking? And then it kind of all ties back in by the 75% mark. Like, it all kind of, you know, blends together and makes sense of like why we were even doing the things we were doing in the first 25%. But all I keep thinking is that we could have done this in so many less pages. Like, the pacing could have been picked up dramatically, and we didn't have to go through this whole song and dance to still get where we are now. Like, we could have cut out so much. And I feel like, you know, the excuse of why it's so drawn out is probably like the romantic plot line. But honestly, you could convince me that they're in love way sooner, because I also still don't really believe that they're in love. I still don't think that this is a good relationship. So I'm feeling very about this whole thing. And then there's like this huge, like, okay, so you made it seem like the task that we were trying to get down the 25% was like huge, ginormous, but she was not like fully, but like basically able to do it on her own. And then this like ginormous task that should never be put on one person's shoulders is somehow wrapped up very easily and quickly. I was like, that, we took less time with this plot than we did the first one, and this one was so much harder, you would think. And now we're about to do something completely nutso for the last 25%, and I still don't know. Like, the only thing I saw coming was the whole plot when it came to the demon. Like, I've been known that. Like, you can see the Kindle notes. I knew the whole time. But I have no idea what's coming, and I don't know what I'm going to rate this. So, we're going to finish this. I think we might make the granny square together, and then I'll show you all the granny squares that I've made so far for, you know, all the books that we've read together. And then we'll finally end this vlog. But okay, let's finish this book up. I'm halfway through the chapter 39, but I was like falling asleep and I do not remember. I don't know like how, like supposedly like her dad is there. I just saw like where I'm at and I was like, I don't know how that happened. So I'm gonna reread this chapter and then finish the book. So I will see you guys in just a bit. Alright folks, this book is done. I'm finally done with this book. So the ending was pretty good. It touched me in my feels. I'll let you know that this does not end with a happily ever after, or at least a traditional happy ever after, because it is part of a series. So it's not a cliffhanger, but like things aren't good. And I kind of liked it, but also it kind of felt like, what was the point of all this? I don't know. I felt like I wish it would have been like a more shocking thing, or I don't know. So I think I'm just gonna give it a solid 3-star and just be like, it was what it was. Some things I liked, there was more things I didn't. So like maybe a 2.75, but yeah, it was just kind of wild. So I'm excited to talk about it with book club, because I know so far there were 2 people who had already finished it when we had like our holiday party, and one of the 2 liked it and one of the 2 did not. I think that a 3-star is a good spot for this book, because that's exactly where the book club is at right now too. But yeah, it's finally done. This ginormous book is finally done. I don't think I'm going to continue on with this series. I don't think so. And that makes me sad, because the other series that I read by this author was, I can't remember what the series is called, but the first book is Furyborn, if I'm not mistaken. And it was really, really good. Like, I really liked it, and I want to go back and finish it, because I think I started the 3rd book in the trilogy and then just didn't finish, because I probably needed to do a reread of the first 2 or like get a recap. But yeah, I was enjoying it. And this, I just was not. This, I was not. So, let me show you my granny square. So here is the cover, and then here is the granny square that I did for it. I think on camera, it definitely looks a little bit better. When I finished this, I thought about redoing it completely, because I felt like this is too orange to match the jewels in the crown, but my yellows are too yellow. So like this is the best thing I have, and I'm trying not to buy yarn as much as possible for this project. So I think it does look pretty good. The only thing is that the color scheme that I've been going with so far is to have like the background of the book be the background of the square, and then the flower be whatever's on the cover, which for the most part works. But I feel like for some of them, there was one where I used like a cotton yarn for the background, and because it's so stiff, you can see the background so much more on the other side. And because the ones where I'm using acrylic, you can't, like, you can see it, but not fully. And I mean, maybe you'll see it more once I connect them all and this is like stretched out a bit more. But like, now I'm kind of feeling like, should I make the petals the background? And whatever color I would make the petals, make that? I don't know. So not positive, but also like it matches the cover. Like the teal's in the background, the crown is in the front. I don't know. So yes, this is my 3rd granny square. I need to take a photo so I can share it on Instagram. And then my first 2, am I nuts? Just I have them. Oh, I am nuts. They're literally right here in front of me. So I have this book for Serpent and the Wings of Night, which I did find out there is green on the cover. And then this one for Rebound Goal. I think this one is the one that matches the best. And as you can see, this is the one that used the cotton yarn, so it like the background really stands out. Alright guys, that is everything I have for my first books of 2025. Now I feel like, you know, we went through halfway of the first month and I got 2 huge books done and a novella, so like not bad, but it is what it is. I think also I told you guys that I was giving Rebound Goal 4 stars, but after pondering on it some more, I think I'm giving it 3. Because it just existed. It didn't add anything to the series, so I think it's a 3-star. But here's to hoping some 5 stars are in my future, and hopefully in the next vlog, which is going to be my first read it or reap it. So here's to hoping we can read some 5 stars. But alright guys, that is everything that I have for you. Don't forget to keep reading, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!